Tonight, the coronavirus restriction rollback continues across South Australia, and our region receives a much-needed drink over the weekend.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. South Australia's cross-border restrictions are continuing to ease, with New Zealanders now able to enter. Police in our region urge travellers to keep up to date with the changes to ensure South Australia's coronavirus cases remain on lockdown.
As the South Australian gates open slowly, so do the flood of tourists, among them New Zealanders who are now allowed to enter the state. Considered a low community transition zone, SA Health says they no longer have to self-quarantine upon arrival or undertake a COVID-19 test, providing they have not transited through Victoria or been overseas for a fortnight. It's also good news for cross-border community members, no longer needing a reason to cross within the restricted kilometres.
We think it's fantastic that things are starting to return to normal, although we do recognise that obviously it's uncertain times and therefore things could regress quite quickly if something goes wrong.
Cross-border travellers within 70 kilometres each side of the borderline will need to submit a COVID-19 test. The test will be required in the 7 days before they enter the state or on the first day of their arrival. They must be retested if they remain in South Australia for 12 days.
Given how fluid the pandemic situation is, it's really important that people keep up to date with the latest COVID restrictions.
Victorians can now also apply to relocate to South Australia, including school and tertiary students who currently live there for educational purposes.
The directions relating to cross-border travel can change, so we encourage people to visit the government's covid19.sa.gov.au website.
Travellers passing through South Australia from Victoria can now do so, only if they have proof of acceptance in Western Australia or Northern Territory. They must not remain in South Australia for more than 72 hours, and those who are approved must not stay overnight or longer than a 1 hour period in Cooper Pedy, Port Augusta or Ceduna. Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Meanwhile, South Australians can now enter Tasmania without having to quarantine for 14 days, as the Apple Isle reopened its borders today. The first flights touched down at Launceston and Hobart airports this morning. There were emotional scenes as families and friends were reunited for the first time since coronavirus closed borders in March. Travellers were subjected to temperature checks and a questionnaire on whether they had any symptoms. South Australia is now only closed to Victoria as they battle a second wave of COVID-19. Planning is well underway for another renewable energy project in Port Augusta. Proponents of the 1414 Degrees project say they will deliver a thermal battery, focusing on energy capture and storage.
The sun is shining on Port Augusta's plans for renewable energy. Aurora Solar say planning for their project is well underway.
Over the last months, we have spent a lot of time optimizing and modelling what is to be developed in stages, and real focus was on sustainable revenue and continuous growth.
The 1414 battery differs to a typical wind or solar project, with thermal storage a key part of their model.
It stores energy at 1414 degrees or more and is able to hold that energy for a very long time, which is actually the real key.
Energy is generated by the sun, which the local MP says Port Augusta has in abundance.
This type of thermal storage is about using the sun's energy through solar to heat up the molten silicon and hold it as stored heat energy.
The Solar Reserve site was taken over just under a year ago, with Aurora keen to breathe new life into the area. There aren't any shovels in the ground just yet, but the company is asking for patience.
Work have started, but it comes down to the engineering and progressing the approvals and understanding the concept of the power station.
If all goes to plan, works could begin mid-next year.
We are aiming to hit the ground in June 2021.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The radioactive waste facility set for Kimber remains in limbo. Labor will oppose a $100 million facility that would see nuclear waste stored at the site for decades to come. The federal member for Grey says the storage of waste in one facility is critical for the future of the nation.
We need to store the waste from what is an essential product. Many of our family and friends, and yours truly, have had at some stage radiotherapy or nuclear-linked medicines.
The Senate is expected to vote on the plan in the near future. South Australian Senator Rex Patrick has set up his own political party ahead of the 2022 federal election. The Whyalla-born MP has registered the Rex Patrick team with the Electoral Commission 2 months after quitting Centre Alliance. Mr Patrick told News Corp the move gives him a space above the line on the Senate ticket. He says while he will select a running mate, the party won't run candidates in the lower house or at the next state election. Senator Patrick has been in federal politics since 2017, when he replaced Nick Xenophon. Still to come tonight, a region drying up after a wet weekend, and millions of dollars in funding announced for South Australian jetties. Welcome back. 2 separate motorists have been charged with driving offences in the York Mid-North over the weekend. A 26-year-old man lost his licence after allegedly recording a blood alcohol reading of .152 in Moonta Bay Saturday night. He'll appear in court at a later date. Meanwhile, in Crystal Brook, a driver was detected travelling 65 kilometres over the speed limit on the Augusta Highway yesterday afternoon. Patrol stopped the vehicle, where the motorist allegedly tested positive to methamphetamine and cannabis. The 22-year-old Waterloo cornerman was reported for a raft of alleged offences. Flash flooding and strong winds battered Quorn over the weekend as severe thunderstorms lashed parts of the state. Local residents enjoying the unusual weather, capturing it all on camera. Our reporter Katrina Musson has more.
It was a wild Friday and Saturday for our region. The Bureau of Meteorology recording wind gusts of up to 70 kilometres an hour, with rainfall records also tumbling. Residents were able to capture the weather event as it unfolded, with severe thunderstorms bringing down heavy rainfall and hailstones.
In a 24-hour period on Friday, we saw 77 millimetres at Quorn.
The Bureau says the rainfall was one for the record books.
So yeah, some pretty significant rainfall, and that 77 millimetres that we had at Quorn was actually its highest October daily rainfall since records began at the station back in 1881.
The SES was also out in full force. Crews from Port Pirie and Port Augusta working throughout the night, helping to tackle instances of flash flooding.
We're extremely busy with both call-outs and just generally looking at the rising waters and ensuring the public safety and systems are in place to protect life and property.
The SES is issuing a strong reminder for residents to be cautious around floodwaters and asking motorists not to drive through them.
Whyalla is set to benefit from South Australia's first ever hydrogen plant, which will be built in Adelaide. Australian Gas Network's entering into an agreement with BOC, transporting the hydrogen created at the new Tonsley plant by tube trailers to industrial customers across the state. The Steel City set to be the first beneficiary.
This is a substantial new industry that we're at the start of. So the hydrogen industry, substantial new jobs, substantial new growth, including in regional areas.
The new supply will save more than 120,000 kilograms of carbon emissions each year. South Australia's jetties and boat ramps are set to get a $40 million boost in the upcoming state budget. Regional areas will receive a lion's share of the funding, with one local MP urging his council to apply.
A cash splash the state government hopes will reinvigorate coastal communities. We know how important they are for our regional communities, and upgrading these facilities will boost the economy of these local country towns.
For the $40 million, according to what I understand from the Minister, it's for boat ramps, jetties and also bridges.
The first round includes upgrades to Anxious Bay Boat Ramp, Coffin Bay Jetty and Streaky Bay Shelter, the initiative aimed at creating local jobs.
Generating jobs for South Australians, and that is a key part of our $12.9 billion infrastructure spend, making sure that we are delivering jobs right across the board.
The government also hoping to improve safety and entice travellers to the regions.
People go to one of these towns and they use the jetty, they fish on the jetty, they stay the night maybe in the caravan park, they'll dine out, they'll put money back into the economy of local country regions.
Member for Frome Jeff Brock welcoming the funding with an upgrade of Port Pirie boat ramp on his wish list.
The Port Pirie Regional Council, they've got to do some work on their boat ramp there. Here's an ideal opportunity to be able to put an application in there to the Minister.
Look, it's differing for different jetties and boat ramps, of course, so some of it's just upgrading the infrastructure that's already there.
The upgrades will begin as soon as possible.
We've also talked about Anxious Bay, the boat ramp there. That's one we want to get moving very, very quickly.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A new disabled changing facility at Wireless Foreshore is almost ready for use, built as part of the City Council's Disability Inclusion Plan. Council is now asking the community for feedback on how to improve accessibility across the whole of the city.
It's a chance for locals living with a disability to have their say.
In the last couple of years, a lot of things have changed, and while it is becoming more accessible, but there is still a long way to go.
We've really welcomed the community's feedback to date on how we can improve the city for the people with disabilities.
Council set to provide services, facilities and future strategies in this new plan. It allows all residents to be able to access what the city has to offer, one of them being this new structure, a changing room specifically built to make it easier for those living with a disability to get in and out of their swimsuits.
Changing Places facility is near completion, so that will be a fantastic asset to the community to use.
Knowing that I can stay out for longer, knowing that I can actually go to the toilet will get me down the beach more often in the summer.
The draft plan was created on the back of an extensive community survey with more than 180 people participating. Councillor Zia Westerman is praising the amount of residents contributing to the drafting of this plan.
People's views and opinions will help us cover more areas.
Areas such as accessible footpaths also helping improve accessibility.
I've been finding myself going out for walking a lot more.
More information is listed on Council's website. Sophia Contigonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. Rock and roll enthusiasts flock to Quorn for Rock the Ranges, and Port Pirie Council to develop a community plan. There's mixed news for South Australia and New South Wales in the latest State of the States report. The two are joint fourth on the CommSec rankings. However, the bank says South Australia is improving, with the state recording its highest ranking in 3 years. New South Wales' employment situation remains a concern, ranked last in the country for relative unemployment. Tasmania remains Australia's best performing economy. Port Pirie Regional Council is calling on residents to have their say on its revised community plan. The council is also considering changing when it reviews the document due to the uncertainty created by COVID-19. Shari Hams has more.
Port Pirie Council's 3-year business plan is now open for public consultation, giving residents the opportunity to have their say on the region's short and long-term vision. A key focus of 2020 to 2021 will be the Capital Works program, with a number of projects brought forward. It's also using funds delivered through Round 2 of the federal government's Drought Communities program. Some of the key projects include the Butlers Bridge overflow, replacing the existing bridge at a cost of $178,000. Crystal Brook's Main Street also receiving an upgrade to the tune of $760,000. The revised draft of the community plan was created following workshops with elected members, input from Council's executive management team and a community survey conducted earlier this year. COVID-19 restrictions temporarily changing the way Council has conducted community engagement, with Council considering slashing the date of reviewing the plan from 10 years to 5. The full list of projects can be accessed through the Port Pirie Regional Council's website.
Not even the weather could stop music fans from enjoying Rock the Ranges over the weekend. The Zep Boys, along with local bands, took to the stage at Quorn Oval on Saturday afternoon. Event organiser John Simpson says he was thrilled with the turnout, with preparations already underway for next year's event.
We're planning on it already, and we've got a couple of good headlines sort of in the works.
Charity also benefiting from the gig, with an estimated $3,000 raised for the Royal Flying Doctor Service. New figures show Port Pirie is the most affordable place to rent in regional South Australia. The latest Domain rental report shows the average price was just $215 a week in the July quarter. While up more than 2% on last year, renting is 6.5% cheaper compared to 5 years ago. Whyalla averaged $250 per week, while Port Lincoln is one of the more expensive places, with tenants paying on average $315 a week. Stay with us after the break. Whyalla's soccer season comes to a close, and Alex Sykes will join us with the latest weather forecast. Hello again. Whyala's soccer season wrapped up on Saturday, with Lions defeating league champions Wanderers in the Association Cup final. Lions went in as underdogs, and despite being reduced to 9 men with 30 minutes remaining, they managed to win 3-1. Lions' goalkeeper was man of the match, saving 2 penalties, while defender Drew Crothers also played a starring role. The club also having a strong day in the reserves final, defeating Wanderers 2-1. To the weather now, and it's set to be a dry and mostly sunny day across our region until the end of the working week. With all the details, here's Alex Sykes.
Thank you, John, and good evening. It was a mostly sunny day across our region with temperatures in the mid to high teens. Port Augusta and Broken Hill both reached a top of 18 degrees. Port Pirie was 17. Taking a further look across the region, Whyalla and Port Lincoln were 17, Broken Hill was 18, Cooper Pedy reached a warm 20 and Adelaide was 19. Looking at the satellite now, and cloud associated with a low over southeast South Australia is generating a few isolated showers. Skies are clear over the remainder of the state under high pressure. Checking the Gulf waters for tomorrow, and winds will be southeast to east reaching 20 knots, seas reaching 2 metres, with the swell south to southwesterly. Checking tomorrow's forecast now, and a few morning showers will clear to a sunny day, and Port Lincoln will be partly cloudy and 18, a possible shower and 19 for Cleve, while Woodner will reach a warm 22 degrees. Heading further north now, and a possible shower and 24 Whyalla, similar conditions for Kadina and Port Augusta, both expecting 21 degrees. A clearing shower and 21 for Port Pirie, Clare reaching 16 degrees with a few spots of rain, Broken Hill 17 degrees with a possible shower. Looking ahead now, and Wednesday will be a warm and sunny spring day. Cooper Pedy reaching a warm 29 degrees, Whyalla 22, Woodner will be 26, Port Lincoln sunny and 20, Broken Hill can expect a partly cloudy day with a top of 21. Looking ahead to Thursday, and it will be dry in the day, but showers will hit eastern and southern parts in the evening. Cooper Pedy is in for a hot one, expecting a top of 33 degrees. Whyalla and Broken Hill both 25. Late showers and 24 expected for Port Pirie. 19 in Port Lincoln, and Adelaide will be reaching a top of 21. And on Friday, we can expect a bit of a mixed bag. Showers in the south and east, dry in northern areas. Port Lincoln a few showers and 18. Whyalla, Port Pirie and Kadina all reaching 20. Windy in Port Augusta and 21 degrees. Cooper Pedy expecting a top of 25. And Broken Hill will be partly cloudy and 19. So that's the weather for the next few days. John, it's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Monday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Until then, have a great evening. Good night.